Hello. Happy to have you all here. Quite a number of people. We still have a few in the waiting room, so I think we're going to wait for another minute, and then Nuria, you can start.
Okay, so at 34, 35 here.
Nice also to see so many videos. Pretty cool to see faces. Hope you can keep them on throughout the webinar. Then it feels a bit more personal. And also while we have the presentations of our speakers, feel free to interact through the chat, post questions later on. Yeah, we're going to have a Q&A, but if you want to raise a topic, just feel free to use the chat.
So we're 60 already. Some people still joining, but shall we start a little bit with the introduction? So welcome to everyone, and thank you for joining us today in this webinar. As you know, since last year, we started doing a series of webinars here at ITC at the Youth and Trade program and these webinars are directly targeted to incubators, accelerators, and all institutions supporting entrepreneurs. So today we're going to talk about the virtual incubation. We think that it's a very relevant topic also given the situation and the remote work and the need to connect a little bit more online. And for that, today we have 4 speakers with us. And the way that we're gonna organize the session is that we will have them talking, them sharing all the experiences, us asking them some questions, and then you asking them some questions as well. So we hope that we all have time to discuss and that you get all your questions solved and that you learn from these really great speakers that we have today. But maybe before introducing them, I just wanted to present ITC team as well. So today we have Julia here with us, as you can see. She will be also asking some questions. We have Jenny that you also met through the invitations and all the emails. And then we also have Mayara here that she will also be supporting, taking some notes and helping us to debrief on all the information that the speakers will be giving to us. And my name is Nuria. Also, we all work at ITC, based in Geneva, and at the Youth and Trade program. So very keen to be here with all of you today. And maybe just in terms of a bit of housekeeping, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. So we will be reading them once we have some. And then we also have like some specific time allocated to that. If you want to introduce yourself, your hub, any other information, please put it in the chat as well. And later on today, we will be also sharing the link to the LinkedIn group that we have created so that you can also connect with other hubs. So I believe I'm not forgetting anything. So I think that the most important thing to do for me now is to introduce you to the 4 speakers that we have today. So I'll start with Bassem Muhammad, that is the Iraq Response Innovation Lab Manager. He has a master's degree in agribusiness, a mini MBA in sustainable food supply chains, a bachelor degree in informatic mathematics, and is a certified trainer by ILO on financial education. He has 15 years experience in both the private sector and the humanitarian development sector, focusing on rural business, startups, youth skill development, women empowerment, innovation in the food and agriculture sector. So we will hear more of him. Then we have Afia Bovia Amanfo. She leads the development of innovation-based entrepreneurship programs in various African countries at Bridge for Billions. She works with key partners and ecosystem builders to create virtual and blended entrepreneurship programs that support early stage startups and contribute to solving some of the big social challenges on the continent. Bridge for Billions has so far created over 120 programs and supported more than 1,600 entrepreneurs from more than 70 countries through partnerships with governments, development agencies, universities, corporates, and various ecosystem support organizations. Then we have Babacar Biran. He's the Associate Director at Concrete. Concrete is a Senegalo-American company specialized in design, management, and evaluation of startups and SME support programs. Previously, Babacar worked at Schneider Electric and for the Airbus A350 program in Toulouse. And in 2013, he decided to return to Senegal to participate in the emergence of the Senegal entrepreneurship ecosystem with the creation of Baobab Entrepreneurship in 2014, which became Concrete in 2019. So Babacar, he's also a senior consultant in entrepreneurial ecosystem design and in business model design. And last but not least, we have Peter Nawa. He's startup coach at Bongo Hive in Lusaka, Zambia. And his work involves testing business ideas, identifying suitable business models, prototyping using the lean approach, analyzing the financial viability of startups. And he has previous experience in PwC in Zambia and as a project coordinator at KfW German Development Bank, and as well as the co-founder of Butali House. He has also published one book called Hired, Find the Job, Keep the Job, and Quit the Job. And he's currently working on a novel. And he is also part of the team that organizes TEDx Lusaka. So I think I've given you a brief overview of all our great speakers today. And please, speakers, if I missed anything, feel free to correct me or add. But now I think I'll leave it to Julia to continue with the session.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nuria, for this warm welcome, introducing our speakers and giving kind of an overview of what the next 1.5 hours bring to us. I think maybe before we go right into the topic, Jenny, if you could start a poll on how many of you have already participated in virtual incubation programs. So we just have a rough idea of who is in the audience and what kind of previous knowledge you have. So now you should see on the screen exactly as you already, the polls is getting filled. So far it seems to be half-half. Some of you have already had experiences with virtual incubation and some haven't. I think therefore our speakers can provide you also with some introductory remarks on virtual incubation. Let me just give you a very general definition of what virtual incubation is. So it differs from normal incubation basically only in the sense that there's a lack of space, because normally incubators, they offer amongst their programs, mentoring, education, networking events, and so on, also space for the startup. But as now things are moving virtual, this office space is not there anymore. We're talking about a very important topic today, as now due to the COVID pandemic, we have increasing physical limitations. It's becoming increasingly difficult to meet people. Accelerators and incubators, they have thought about how they could adapt their programs. And now with nearly everyone connected over smartphone or laptop, online virtual incubation programs have seen a large rise. The 4 speakers, which Nuria has already presented, they will now provide us with further insights on why they have set up their virtual incubation programs, what advantages they are, what challenges we are having, and what you should keep in mind if you plan to set up a virtual incubation program. Now, without further ado, I would hand it directly to Afia, who will present us the core aspects of the Bridge for Billion virtual incubation program. Afia, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Julia. Thank you, everyone, for joining. really quite excited to be here. Can you go to the second slide, please? Yeah, so I saw from the poll that about 60% of participants are familiar with virtual incubation. I'll be quite curious to see how many were familiar with virtual incubation before the COVID pandemic. I think that would be interesting as well. So for us at Bridge for Billions, we've been running virtual incubation programs for the last 5 years. Bridge for Billions is a virtual billions partners with different organizations to run entrepreneurship programs online. So this has been our core for the past 5 years, and I'm hoping within the short time to share a few of our learnings and some of the core aspects of our programs, which I hope can give you some insights to help with your virtual programs as well. So I think what I wanted to show here is we work a lot with ecosystem partners, we work a lot with different organizations and partners. And I think that is one of the benefits of virtual incubation and super important to us, because we know that supporting entrepreneurship and really creating the kind of momentum around entrepreneurship programs that we want to see in Africa requires a lot of collaboration. And I think being virtual has allowed us as Bridge to bring on board corporates and foundations and to have them really take part in supporting entrepreneurship, be able to have visibility on programs that are done with entrepreneurs, and also bring on board mentors as well as ecosystem organizations. We work with quite a number of them. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight here how we run our programs. So sometimes we run the program fully managed by Bridge for Billions, and then sometimes we run the program co-managed with Bridge for Billions and whoever our partner is. This is because the virtual nature of our program allows partners to be able to have their own program online on the Bridge for Billions platform and monitor their entrepreneurs, follow their entrepreneurs through the program. I think I'll tell you more on the next slide, please. Right, so as I mentioned, we've been running programs for 5 years now, and I wanted to highlight here some of the interesting things we've observed, which I believe is partly due to the online nature of our programs. So as you can see here, we have supported entrepreneurs from about 72 different countries, and I think that is a big plus of running virtual programs, being able to expand the scale and the geographical reach of programs. So we are able to run programs which are cross city, cross country. Sometimes the program is in different countries, but managed by one team. And that is definitely a big plus for entrepreneurship programs. Another thing that I always highlight is the percentage of women founders that have been supported by Bridge, which I think is also another benefit for you when you're running virtual programs, because women specifically have a lot of challenges joining physical or offline incubation programs, having to leave their work, leave their homes, and then migrate to these places to join programs is a bit complicated for them. Having a virtual, flexible program really allows for more women to participate in this program. And I didn't show it here, but in terms of diversification, another thing we've been able to do is having entrepreneurs living with disabilities are also able to join the program, thankfully, because of the virtual nature and other factors, of course. Then also you can see here, I just added a little data to show another aspect of our virtual programs, which is the ability to really collect accurate data and to be able to measure the impact of the programs that you host. So because we leverage upon this technology, we are able to have accurate measurements of how many entrepreneurs have completed the program, how many actually started their businesses and went on to grow their businesses, and we're able to track the progress of our entrepreneurs up to 2 years after they've completed our program. Next slide, please. Great. So these are some of the core aspects of the Bridge for Billions program. I think I'm probably going to stay with the structured methodology, because I think when you're running a virtual program, your structure and methodology is really core. When I talk of structure and methodology, I'm not only talking about the curriculum that you are using, even though that is a big part of it, but how the sessions are organized. So for example, with Bridge for Billions, first of all, we have validated our methodology, testing it with entrepreneurs over and over again. And I think this is something which is super important with us as hub managers, to apply what we teach entrepreneurs in terms of testing our methodology that we use. We work with entrepreneurs with the methodology, we organize surveys, we get feedback from these entrepreneurs, and then we update and upgrade the methodology. We also take inspiration from top methodologies out there like MIT Discipline Entrepreneurship Program, the Lean methodology. We take inspiration from all these and have put together a methodology which consists of 8 business tools. So starting from value proposition to competition mapping, business development, financials, all the way to growth plan, helping the entrepreneurs to work on every aspect of their business. And you probably can't see because the image is so small, but when you zoom in, you realize that the structure of the Bridge for Billions program is such that entrepreneurs have to go through the step-by-step process. And at each stage, they have to validate their work. They have to, it's really an action-oriented program, which is another aspect of structure that I wanted to talk about. That I think most effective virtual programs have to be action-oriented. So not only sessions where a speaker is speaking to the entrepreneurs and they are listening, but there should be a lot of assignments, a project. They should actually be working on their business as they are going through the process, especially when this program is organized virtually. Another feature in terms of structure is making it time-based. We realize that a lot of entrepreneurs really tell us that one of the benefits of going into our program is the sort of pressure, in a way, they feel to work on these aspects of their businesses, which they will not do, if they were left on their own. So they receive the pressure from the community, from their cohort group, from their mentor to work on every aspect of their business and complete it within a set time. So I think that is also quite beneficial to make the program time-based and to make every aspect of the program time-based. And then the final aspect of our programs in terms of structure is personalized mentoring. I think that is a great benefit for online programs. When you are running your program virtually, you are not limited in the number of mentors you can assign to entrepreneurs or where you can get your mentors from. We source mentors globally. We have a community of over 850 mentors, and we can assign mentors to work one-on-one with entrepreneurs, to follow the work of the entrepreneurs, to give feedback directly on the work that the entrepreneurs do. And this, I think it helps a lot with engagement. It helps entrepreneurs to get additional feedback that they will not get like in group coaching sessions. So that is one of the main core aspects of our program. I think the other thing I will jump on to talk about is about creating a community. So at Bridge, community is very important to us. We have a community where all our entrepreneurs from around the world, mentors, investors, and partners can gather and can access perks, workshops, events. But even more importantly, when we are running programs for each specific cohort, we take time to help them create that connection and to foster partnerships between them. We all know that entrepreneurship can be a bit of a lonely journey. So when the entrepreneurs are going to this program, especially when it's virtual, it's important to organize sessions where they can come together with their cohort group, where they can have group coaching sessions and where they can interact with each other, get peer-to-peer feedback, and get support when they are going through challenges. And I think this community shouldn't end when the program is completed. We should have a community where entrepreneurs can continue to receive support and to receive guidance and partnership throughout their journey, even after they've completed our program. And I think the final thing I'll talk about is probably impact. I'm debating whether to talk about impact or incubation team. But impact measurement, I think, is super important for us. And I know from speaking with quite a number of partners that in African countries, a lot of hubs and incubators, we have challenges really reporting accurately on impacts, which is why for Bridge, we have our impact tracking, our surveys, and everything integrated into our platform and our tools. So if you don't have a platform like Bridge for Billions, I think there are a lot of other ways to make sure that you are assessing your entrepreneurs before they start the program, during the program, after the program, 6 months after they've completed, 2 years after, just to keep track of their progress and to make sure that the program that you are offering really achieves the desired results, and then you can make changes where you need to make. And I think once you have a vibrant community, it makes getting these results from entrepreneurs much easier. And then just about incubation team, I think as we are moving virtual, it's very important that the entire team is supported to build their capacity to run virtual programs, because there are different elements of virtual program that should be taken into consideration. So let's make sure that the entire team is having the awareness. They know the challenges that come with running virtual programs. They know they need to create more engagement, and they are prepared to support these programs. Also, as we want to take advantage of some of the benefits of virtual programs, such as creating a more diverse program, I think it's super important that we also create more diverse incubation teams, that we have more women, more people living with different disabilities. We get all these people involved in our incubation teams so that we can create more diverse programs. Okay, final slide, please. Okay, so this is just an overview of the process we usually go through with partners to create programs. Most of these we do online. So irrespective of where the partner is based, we've also adopted blended program approach, where part of the program is run fully online, and then some parts, usually the group sessions or demo days, are run offline. So we start from program design. We work with partners to define the goals and objectives of their program, and that will be part of the surveys and what we will measure throughout the program. So starting from program architecture, brand identity, branding our platform and our program to suit the partner's logo and their brand, and then defining how the program will be managed, to making the call for applicant selection and matching with entrepreneurs. The online nature of our program allows us to match entrepreneurs with mentors in a very organic way, where the mentor can see the work of the entrepreneurs and decide who they each want to work with. And then onboarding both entrepreneurs and mentors onto the platform. Then they go through the incubation journey, where they have the access to our 8 business tools, step by step, very practical. They get to really feed in details about their program and generate a business plan and a business growth map at the end of the program. They also partake in group coaching sessions. Sometimes we have very specific expert sessions, either based on their sector of innovation or based on their country focus. And then in addition, there is a one-on-one mentoring, where they meet with their mentor every week to receive feedback and to talk about the progress of the business with the mentor. Then they also partake in other community activities we have, like investment coaching sessions. And then at the end, we end with a demo day and generate an impact report for the partner. So yes, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Afia, for this very interesting start of kind of highlighting your methodology, showing the large impact you have across countries, and kind of what people should keep in mind when they set up a virtual incubation. Now I would like to move to Babacar, and I think Babacar is one of the longest experience in delivering online incubation. He and his team, they've been working in the field for over 7 years. And I think now in the upcoming minutes, he will tell us more about the 4 components of their incubation methodology and the journey a startup is undertaking with them. So Babacar, we're looking forward to hearing your insight. And as before, feel free to post in the chat if you have questions for Babacar or for Afia.
Thank you, Julia. Concrete, as Julia just said, is specialized in is currently specialized in designing and delivering virtual incubation programs for startups. We didn't start it with these activities exactly. I will explain why a little bit later. But by doing while doing our incubation, our own incubation program, and also working with different stakeholders, like development organizations that want to empower youth, develop programs that have job focused, and also the government, and also some corporate that really want to work on open innovation programs. We gathered a lot of knowledge and methodology that are helping us to design and deliver virtual incubation. And while we were doing this work of doing incubation and virtual incubation, we discovered that there are not a lot of tools that are specifically designed to attract and support entrepreneurs. And many incubators used to use different solutions. And if you use different solutions, you can solve the different jobs of doing incubation. Like Slack, HubSpot, Salesforce, and so on. But what you will miss is the flow of information that you need to track the progress of the entrepreneurs and be able to efficiently collect the data that you need to say whether or not your program, your incubation program, have had impact on the entrepreneurs or not. So this is what led us to slide, please, Jenna. Yes, so this is what led us to initiate and develop a software as a service that we have named Let's Go ERM. And ERM stands for Entrepreneur Relationship Management. And we started this work since 2018. And the idea is really to help other incubators that we have been working with to digitize their entrepreneurial programs. And it mainly helped them with this 4 value proposition, which is to manage the, first of all, to manage the call for applications, and then do the assessment, the need assessment, and have and set up a virtual an incubation plan that they can use to help the entrepreneurs make progress, and then measure the progress, measure the impact of the program. Afia spoke a little bit about that, the challenge of evaluating and assessing the impact of incubators is not is something that is real for many of us incubators in the world, and also in Africa specifically. And then to this first value proposition that we really wanted to work on this software is to showcase the impact that the incubators have. So we have been lucky to work with different organizations, development organizations, government organizations, and so on, mainly in Senegal, in Africa, and recently in Europe, in US as well. But what I just want to say about our experience is that when we launched, and I think this is a key information to have as well regarding our experience. When we launched back in 2014, we thought we went into virtual incubation because we didn't have many choices. We were poor. We didn't have enough resources as young entrepreneurs to have a building, have everything that we need, every infrastructure that we need to do incubation as we used to do it. So we didn't have those resources, and we wanted to innovate. So we just get into the virtual incubation, and we were doing it 100% manner. So we figured out that the 100% way of doing incubation, on doing incubation digitally, was not that efficient, because people always wanted to, always asking us, to meet us, to meet the other entrepreneurs. So this physical contact is really something that is well needed. So this is why we have pivoted our incubation approach, our operational model. And we also discovered with the work of the World Bank, there are a lot of resources through InfoDev, a program of the World Bank, that you really can have a lot of information. So I urge you to look that as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so currently, so from the beginning, we have a little bit of numbers. So 2,000, almost 300 entrepreneurs that we have supported in this dual model, let's say that, and 4,500 entrepreneurs that are supported via Let's Go. And the last number that is really important, and I really want to talk about that a little bit, is 109 entrepreneurs that we are currently supporting. So it's a little bit one out of three of the total entrepreneurs that we have been done. Why we are able to do it right now is that we have reinforced our two things. The first thing is our incubation, our virtual incubation tools. So the software has been improved, and also our capacity we have trained also people within the incubator to be able to manage virtual incubation, which is a little bit different than physical incubation. And the second thing, which is at least as important as that, is having a methodology. If you want to support entrepreneurs at scale on a virtual mode, you have to be able to have a system, an incubation system that can help you do that. And we have did a lot of R&D for 1 year to have a way to structure our incubation approach, which is in 4 steps. The first one is the entrepreneur's jobs to be done. So meaning that what is the progress that the entrepreneur have to have within the incubation program. And this will help. Afia was talking about it. It's really important when you deliver incubation activities to make sure that it will impact the progress of the entrepreneur. So the second thing is the incubation inputs, and we structure it with 4 activities of incubation. The training, and the way we do the training is really inspired by the flipped classroom. I don't know if you are familiar on that, but I can come back to that later if you have question on that. The way we do the coaching, the mentoring, and also the networking, which is really, really important as an incubator, because usually the entrepreneurs lack the networks, and that's what the incubators can bring either physically or virtually. And to finish with this incubation input is help the entrepreneurs be invest ready and get them and connect them with investors. And then the third and fourth thing is really the way we make sure that we have results. And at first we try to have the incubator to know what are the incubation outputs immediately when we deliver the input. What do we have to see? And then since we use the digital channel, we make sure that 2, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year later, we make sure to have information on their progress. So this is briefly how we got into digital incubation, the tools that we are using right now, and how we have been able, for example, right now to support at the same time 100 more than 100 entrepreneurs through the digital digital tools and also a proper methodology. So I will just stop right there, and then I will dig deeper regarding the questions that we have.
Thanks, Babacar, for this very interesting insights, for presenting kind of your virtual incubation journey, but also the Let's Go software. I think there were some really interesting learnings for our audience. Let's now move to our third speaker, who is Peter. And Peter, he was running a normal pre-acceleration program in Zambia, but then due to COVID, I had to redesign the program completely. So I think he has also some really good experiences, what could be kept from this program during the COVID times and what couldn't. And yeah, so now I would like to hand it over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Julia. So as Julia said, I'm with Bongo Hive. I'm a startup coach there. And at Bongo Hive, we believe that we work with great minds building viable solutions that change the world. And one of the ways that we do that is through our entrepreneurial programs. I run a program called Discover Pre-Accelerator, and this is a 2-week program that is for individuals with ideation stage or early stage startups. And we go through a 2-week program for validating their businesses. So we have different courses from finance to customer acquisition to unique value proposition. And it is pretty much more or less a compressed program. Next slide, please. I'll give you an example of what it was like pre-COVID. So this was the first session we had last year in January. On average, we have about 10 participants in each cohort. And we would be together for half a day, every day for 2 weeks, going through their various businesses, them learning from each other, peer to peer, and them trying to work and see if their businesses can go and succeed out there in the market. Unfortunately, COVID hit Zambia in March, and we had a partial lockdown. So we didn't have any virtual programs before COVID. And when COVID hit in March, we had to redesign the program and figure out ways in which we could still deliver the same value and the same program material, but only virtually this time around. And so over the year, from the time it hit in March all the way to currently, we've had an opportunity to work around how do we deliver the same programs, but now online because we could not meet physically. Next slide, please. So this was the last cohort we had, and part of this changing now was now moving or switching the program into virtual. And one of those things that we had to take into consideration was how do we redesign the courses to make sure that they are of value, but also they are within the time limits because it's virtual. So before COVID, I would have them for like half a day. Now with the virtual programs, all I'd have at most is an hour to an hour and a half. So we had to redesign the programs in such a way that we were able to deliver the same program, but find other means to making up of the time that was not available. And that was making use of things like one-on-one coaching, making use of assignments, and that is what we did. But part of the process to get to where we are right now was an iterative process. Next slide, please. So when we began, the first thing we did, or the first iteration we did of our program was having virtual sessions, but they were live sessions. So there would be from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Live sessions where everybody who was in the cohort would join at that particular time. Still for 2 weeks. We had to make sure there was one-on-one coaching for about 30 minutes each week for everybody. Would give them assignments, and then if they had any questions, they would be able to ask them during the live sessions. But out of that, we did have some challenges. First of all, the challenges that we would encounter would be some people didn't have data, for instance, so they would not be able to meet or join the meetings at the specific time. So the numbers were not always consistent. Work schedules, some of them were working, which was also another challenge. And then electricity challenges. Sometimes there would be blackouts and they would not be able to access their laptops or use it at the specific time that we're there. So, but the opportunities were that people could join in. We had participants from Zimbabwe, participants from the US, participants from Nigeria joining the sessions, which we previously could not have with the physical meetings. So out of this, we then sat down and asked for feedback and said, okay, what is another way in which we could deliver the sessions? And that we iterated again. And this was now having the virtual pre-recorded sessions where we pre-recorded the sessions, and these were self-paced. So the participants could go and listen to the sessions, but we increased the coaching time. And then what we did to ensure that they did listen to sessions would say, for you to be eligible to have a coaching session with us, you would have to have watched specific videos in order to make the meetings more impactful and make the meetings more beneficial to you, and also make it sure that we get the most out of the time that is available. We would also make use of things like to encourage engagement. We would have like a networking event where everybody would share their elevator pitches, they would ask questions, and they would make connections. One thing that I think Babaka mentioned this, that we have become very aware of, is that the engagement has been very limited because it's virtual, and because of data challenges. Oh, sorry, there's someone speaking. Because of data challenges, people would not turn on.
Je suis en cours, c'est Dani.
Because of internet challenges, people would not turn on their screens. So it would be difficult to know if somebody has understood the topic, has not understood the topic, which I would be able to do on a physical meeting. So part of now that engagement would be trying to sort out those issues in a coaching session and make sure you ask them in advance, okay, come and let me know what are your challenges, where are the main issues you have, and would drill down into their businesses in that time. But we've been again getting feedback from these pre-recorded sessions. And again, the feedback is that we need more engagement, we need more coaching time. So we are doing another iterative version now coming in March, next March, with the next cohort. And this next cohort we'll do a hybrid session of these two. So we will have some sessions that are physical, that are live sessions, like the one we started with. And then we'll have some that are pre-recorded and self-paced. And we hope that way that they'll still be able to meet people in the same cohort. They'll still be able to engage with one another and make partnerships and make networks by having it in that manner. But we will constantly be aware of the feedback that we're getting. But what we were doing in delivering these sessions is I think we're using pretty much the tools that were already there. So we didn't develop anything like a platform. Next slide, please. So the tools that we have primarily been using are, we've used F6S for applications. We have used Google Classroom for our assignments, for the pre-recorded videos, uploaded them there. We've used it also as well to answer any questions. We've used WhatsApp groups for communication ease. We've used Zoom to deliver the sessions because of functionalities it has, breakout rooms, polls, and also to kind of like increase engagement. And occasionally we will also use Google Meets. So basically these are the tools that we've used. And so far with WhatsApp, it's fairly easy. For Google Classroom, we've had to kind of help the SMEs navigate it in the very beginning, but once they have been able to use it for a few days, it's very easy for them to use it, and that has been very helpful. But in terms of what we have gathered so far is that it is very important to make sure that you're getting feedback. And with this, our average cohort has dropped to about 8 per cohort, purely because, again, you find people have different needs and different requirements. Some still prefer the live, the physical event, but for now it can't happen. But what is very important, even with us at Bongo Hive, is always getting feedback on how these sessions are going. What is the impact being made? And that is what has been vital. And even the way we iterate the programs and every change is getting how many people have said they need more coaching time. That is when we change. If it's just one person, then maybe we may not consider it. But if we get the feedback constantly, we need more coaching time, that is how we've been able to change it. If they've said maybe we need more engagement, we need to know what our other peers are doing. And that is the same way that we are constantly iterating and learning. And another way that we have learned is also from what other hubs are doing outside the country. If we go through a webinar, we go through another session, we try and pick up learnings from what they're doing, and we try to incorporate them into our business. So basically, that is how we've been able to iterate from our physical event to online using platforms that are already there without actually building whole learning platforms. Other than that, thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions when the time comes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Peter, for sharing the insights on adapting your program. I think you've pointed out really well how important feedback loops are, like from participants, and how they influence the new program. And I think also what you showed at the end, the softwares and tools to use for virtual incubation are quite good examples. Let us now turn to our last speaker, Bassem, who's leading the Iraq Response Innovation Lab, focusing on the agribusiness sector. And Bassem, I think you will show us how you moved from an in-person to a virtual incubation program and what challenge comes with this move. I hope you can share your screen now.
Yes, would like to start with the video or just start with a presentation directly?
Mayara, can you share the video? Otherwise,
yes, let me try to share the video here.
Okay. Let us hope everything will be okay. Yes.
Further support.
فاصلة نص 62 44 67 44 67 72 68
هنبلش بالشكل الاول.
Bassem, I think now you can share your screen for the presentation.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, do you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Bassem Mohammed. I am the Iraq Response Innovation Lab manager. I hope that you enjoyed to see, the short video that we explained the last 2 days of the pitching events, the bootcamp that we had here in Erbil in Iraq as well. We will talk quickly about our agribusiness incubators, the first virtual agribusiness incubator that has been implemented not only in Iraq, but in MENA region as well. So this incubator has been operated, designed by the Iraq Response Innovation Lab, part of the global initiatives. We are a part of 5 innovation labs that are working in 4 different countries. I will move directly to the next slide.
Bassem, could you try maybe to put your presentation on full screen?
Yes.
We can see your presentation mode now.
Okay.
Bigger note.
Just a minute, please. Second. Is it okay right now?
Maybe if you exit the presenter mode, I think that would be better, because now we can see your kind of like the
I'm sorry.
comments.
Yes.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's better. That's okay.
Okay. What the challenge is, why we choose the sector, the sector, the agribusiness, because as you know, very important to focus more on the agriculture sector, especially in Iraq. We are talking about the 33% of the Iraqi population are living in Iraq. And Iraq also is facing multiple layers of crisis, economical crisis, protracted crisis, and ISIS in the last period as well. So because of that, the main idea why we choose the agribusiness in the first stage to support the local farmers, the local inventors in rural areas to implement and establish the small-scale project, innovative, so a small-scale project in terms of increasing productivity, the efficiency within the sector. The solution, it was the agribusiness incubators. As I told you before, it was the initial idea was to create a personal or in-person or the traditional or regular incubators to support climate smart agriculture, support innovation agriculture, and integrating business mindset into the agriculture and creating innovative agribusiness as well. Initial plan was to be in-person training 5 days per week, 25 total group sessions, and also field visit. The main idea in agribusiness to do the field visit. Field visit is the main important issue or the main important part of this incubator. We are not just delivering a business sessions. We are also delivering a technical session in terms of farming activity and of farming activity. Those sessions must be delivered on the field. So this, because of that, when we designed this incubator, we designed it to be mixed between sessions on the class, on the lab in Erbil, and also on job or on field training as well. COVID came, so we had to change our plan. So we took that challenge. We said that now we'll try to shift into virtual. So we take that opportunity to turn these challenges into opportunity by running and operating the first virtual agribusiness incubators. So we decided to do it through virtual platforms, using the available communication that the people or the incubated projects or the people who are involved in this process have, and also to be adapted in the new context. We delivered more than 100 hours, and this is very important, 75 hours mentorships. It means that 25 learning sessions as well. The challenges that we faced actually in the first stage of our incubation is the distance learning. It's not really, really popular here in Iraq. Also the technical capacity in terms of the equipment, access to the internet, electricity, and other things as well, or devices. And also the local capacity of the trainers and mentors, coaches as well. So we couldn't find really people who can deliver a virtual learning session, a virtual mentoring sessions as well. And also how we can adapt the language, of the training, because we deliver all the learning sessions in Arabic. So we need to translate not only into the Arabic, but adapt it into the local context and can be understood from the audience as well and the participants. This is the timeline. We have started in February 2020. We received 60 applicants through our online application. In May, after the first filtering process, we selected 20 projects. We presented to the first evaluation committee in June 2020. The evaluation committee based on the assigned or design selection criteria, selected 16 projects. We have started the first phase of the incubation in June 2020. In July 2020, 14 projects continue with us with the learning and mentoring sessions, and in October 12 project, as you review it in the videos, 12 projects submitted not only their idea but also their prototypes and business models during 2 days of pitchings. So the first day, the second evaluation committee select 7 projects based on the functionality or efficiency of their prototype and the solutions. And those 7 projects presented their project to another judging committee, global judging committee, and the judging committee select 5 projects in November 2020 to be funded up to 20K USD dollars. And we are now continuing supporting those projects to implement their project for another 1 year through consultancy services, advisory services, and also networking as well. Lesson learned, and this is one of the most lesson learned that we actually we have to say about it, about how adapt the knowledge to the local context and also support local capacity in the agribusiness sectors. This is very important. I can give you one example. Many of the participants didn't know how they can use the technical tools such as Teams platforms or even WhatsApp or Viber. So one of the main support that we deliver to those participants is to teach them or learn them how we can use it, and in addition to that, we inform them if they want to also to have financial support to have sufficient access to the internet and the other tools as well. And also we design it the whole content, the whole training. We divide it into mentoring and lectures. The learning. So we reduced the numbers of mentoring hours. We based on the assessment that we did it during the first stage, we felt as management of this incubator that we need to focus more in the one-to-one session more than to the learning session. And by the way, the learning session was 1 hour per week, but the mentoring session were much bigger, in terms of quantity and also the quality of the information. We saw that because we have a limited number of participants, so we decided to provide more mentoring sessions than the learning sessions as well. What next? As I told you, now we are supporting the local inverters through advisory and consulting services in the preparation of the business plan and also implementation as well. And we are developing innovation-specific monitoring and evaluation toolkits. As you know, under the program, we have the methodology of result-based management, but also we have another layer of mentoring and evaluation to see the efficiency of the established enterprise. So we created the enterprise performance reports and also the impact of this established project in the targeted community as well in terms of food security. And the rest of the project that didn't have the chance to be funded through this specific project, we added them into our innovation pipeline database. And this innovation database has been shared with many others, international organizations, donors, local NGOs, and we are looking at and actually we have the chance to find another 2 funds for other projects that didn't have the chance to be funded in the first stage. For our method, actually this is the first time in Iraq. As I told you, we are talking from Iraq to Iraq by Iraq. The idea came from Iraqi people, the Iraqi people who did this, to transfer these ideas to solution applications, to projects, and they are delivering their services, their values as well to the Iraqi people, to their community. We name it as a smile, which means that this is our target, not only to support the innovations to be an application, but also to be more, to be like a concrete and sustainable solution on the ground. So because of that, we name it SMILE. SMILE means sustainable. We are supporting modern technology, innovation within the sector should be also localizations of the solutions, and also the implementation, and also under Go Green, we are supporting the green economy. We are supporting the climate change adaptation in terms of the solution that we present into the community. This is our contact details. I would like to ask you all to visit our Facebook page and also our Instagram page. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, we are also hosting another incubator in another sector. We are focusing in the innovation in the social innovations in Iraq. So I hope all if you can join and see our activities as well. Thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity. Over to you.
Thank you, Bassem. Thanks a lot for this last presentation. We've switched our programs a bit. I think what we would like to do now is that Nuria is going to ask more general questions, but we're also going to pick up the questions in a chat box which haven't been answered yet. Yeah, Nuria, if you just want to start, floor is yours.
Okay, great. So I see we had several questions from to Afia, but she already responded or addressed most of them. So you can guys see it in the chat. Maybe I can start also mentioning a couple of questions that were directed to all of the speakers. So first of all, there's a question about if the virtual incubation program is suitable for startups at the ideation prototype level, since they require more hands-on support. So exactly who are the main, or who would be the main beneficiaries or the main target audience for this type of programs? And this is for all speakers. So any volunteer?
Let me start. So I think there was a report done, I think by Village Capital a few years back, if not last year or the other year. I hope I could get the link for you, which stated that, in fact, virtual incubations are more ideal for ideation to early stage startups, purely because it helps us work through their ideas before they go out and prototype. Some don't even know what their unique value proposition is. They don't know who their customers are. So a virtual incubation helps them work through that process. And that is why it works well at ideation and early stage startup. And perhaps maybe if it's more advanced level support, a virtual incubation might not be suitable purely just incubation, but for startup, it is advisable, and that is based on research.
All right. Maybe what I can add on that is on a business model perspective. Usually, the entrepreneurs at that level of ideation and so on, either they don't have the money to pay the actual services of physical incubation, or it's too early for them to spend money on that. So going through a virtual channel, with, for example, what Afia was referring during her presentation on the disciplined entrepreneurship approach, which I urge you also to look at. I think is also well developed within the EDX learning platform, and this can be used, those methodologies and the virtual approach to really deliver the services to really early stage entrepreneurs so that they don't spend money on that. So I just wanted to ask to add that on what Peter just said.
Perfect. So maybe related to this one as well is that, and some of you, some of the speakers, you've already mentioned it, but just to make sure that all the participants here know, it's like, how do you ensure that participants remain engaged? So really how to keep them as engaged as when it's like a face-to-face session or a more like physical, in a physical space, let's say.
Yeah, so I think that is super important question. I think I mentioned two things during my presentation. One was having actually three things. One was having group coaching sessions. If I speak from the perspective of Braid, I think there are lots of things we do to help engagement because we are practically a virtual incubation program. So having the group coaching sessions, like weekly or bi-weekly, so the participants all have to join this bi-weekly session, and they already have it in their calendar, it helps a lot. And then if your program is structured, I talk a lot about structure because I think it's super key. If it's structured in such a way that they move from step to step, they know they have to complete this to join this. And each of the bi-weekly sessions are part of the structure. So for example, if in the first 2 weeks they are working on their value proposition, the bi-weekly session is about value proposition to delve deep to answer questions. And then they have a one-on-one personal mentor as much as possible. If you can get some kind of mentor for the participants or ensure that they are engaged with someone, it helps a lot. So I think I would say a combination of these three is super helpful to keep engagement.
Perfect. I'm not sure if any other speakers. Okay.
Maybe if I can add a little bit. So when we also during our incubation program, virtual incubation programs, sometimes notice that the level of engagement is a little bit low. And when we investigated that, we discovered two sources. The first one is the way the content, the program content is designed. Specifically, if I take the example of training, this is why we have changed our approach to something like the flipped classroom. And Peter talked about that. I illustrated that, which is, for example, record. First step, record, give access to the recorded course training materials, so they can read it before they come. They can also do some quizzes and so on. And then once you meet them virtually or physically, you make sure that they are engaged because they are able to not only listen to a trainer, but they can, before coming to the training, put some perspective between the training content and the needs, the specific needs that they have in their project. So this is the example for the training. And then the second source that we have noticed is the channel that is used to get the information. If they don't have the information like notification and so on, it can be hard for them to just go to the virtual channel to do what they have to do. So we had to rework the way we send the notifications. Instead of sending notification every time, we just choose to do it once a week, the Monday, and it's really progress oriented. What do you want to do this week, and so on. So these are the two rooted causes that we have found. And just to finish on that, one solution that we have brought to that is to work on a mobile application instead of only being on a web channel. So just to touch on that.
Great. Okay. So also thinking about new tools. I believe that there's a question from Benson, or at least we can see the hand up there. Julia, I don't know if you wanted to say something, sorry.
No, I did actually.
Oh, okay, I could hear like a female voice and I assumed it was Julia. Sorry.
Yeah, so I just remember something Peter mentioned while he was talking about the challenges with data and how that can lead to participants not being engaged, because if the sessions are held at specific times and they have issues with connectivity during that time, they're not going to be able to follow the sessions. So Peter also mentioned tools like Google Classroom and stuff. So I wanted to just highlight having that blend, you know, like you have these sessions which are at specific times, but then if you're also using Google Classroom and other online course platforms, you can have your courses and the assignments and whatever you want to use to engage them there. You can even have a discussion forum there, which they can participate in at any time, so that they are not only relying on this, you know, session at 2 p.m., which they can join. Yeah.
Thank you for this addition, Safia. Yeah, I think Benson now he has unmuted himself, and feel free to directly ask a question.
Okay, thank you very much. So this question, I think most of the questions that I had have already been tackled, but there is still one. When you look at the participants, we can look at them as having different business models in different businesses and natures. How do you give the personal tailored advice to these? Because looking at the way so for example, I'll talk on Mr. Nawa's model of business at Bongo Hive, where they simply, you know, give tailored advice to individuals. How do they achieve that to ensure that everyone is moving at the same pace? Because if you start on one person, the other person might be a bit behind. How do you manage to do the progress of the participant?
Oh, so the one-on-one coachings is where that is done. So they schedule time, and then we now drill down to the businesses where they're probably weak. So you find some may probably be strong financially, but it is a marketing end where they are weak. So in the one-on-one coaching sessions during the week, that is where we can discuss that and see ways in which to improve the businesses.
Okay, so are they given on, is there a specialized team or is it one-on-one session? So for example, let's say in financial services, do you offer a specialized coach to do financial services on to give advice, or is there just an overall?
Yes, so we then decide, depending on who's in the team or what is the weakness. So we get to know in advance, and that's why they have to do those sessions in advance. And then we'll then know where the weaknesses are, and then we'll pair them with who would be the best person to talk to. So if they need a developer, we'll then direct them towards the developer. If they need the finance person, we would then direct them to speak to a finance person.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Benson. Thank you, Peter. Now, as we've said in the beginning, we'll briefly summarize the main takeaways from the webinar on a Jamboard, which Mayara has created.
Thanks, Julia. Let me share my screen so that you can see my notes. I try to summarize the key takeaways of the Q&A session in those little post-its. I think the discussions were around mainly whether virtual incubation can work for ideation in early stage. And I think the answer here is definitely yes, because virtual incubation can help those entrepreneurs to question and to test their assumptions. And especially when you are at an early stage, you might not have enough funds to pay for a physical. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You might not be able to pay for a physical incubation program, which tend to be more expensive. So virtual incubation can be a space to test and go through different feedback loops, etc. Another question was related to how can we raise engagement? As we know that when we are not physically there, it can be difficult to remain connected and remain engaged. And we had a lots of good ideas on that one. The structure of the program and the design of the program, those were key, I think. Having different moments as well in your program so that you have coaching sessions, you also have flexible hours for assignments, pre-session work and all of that, but also some specific hours for the training that keeps people committed to be there and to show up. I think those were the main points. Another idea as well was to use apps beside web, because sometimes that's another way. Changing platform can also raise the engagement. And finally, now we had a question related to how can we monitor progress, because sometimes companies can move at different paces. So how can we make sure that everyone's following along? And the one-to-one coaching sessions, those are really helpful. And in cases where specialized support might be needed, matchmaking can play that role. And yeah, overall, I think we received a lot of good ideas to create or to improve on virtual incubation programs. And I'm sure there is more to be talked about this topic in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayara, for this summary and for highlighting well the different aspects of virtual incubation we've covered in the past. If you as the audience have kind of final questions, feel free to post them now. If not, I would like to invite our 4 speakers to quickly summarize in 60 seconds if they imagine their ideal incubation program, what they would always include and what they would advise to leave out. I think in the chat box for the moment, there's no other questions. So maybe Babakar, if you would like to start.
I was fine. Oh, yeah, there is a question here. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. I am Frankfurting from UAD Cameroon. But this is our first session, so I really need someone to brief us on virtual incubation, because this is my first time to participate in this program. So I really need someone to brief us on it.
Right.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, I think Babakar can give you the important overview.
Yeah, I was just, I don't think we have enough time to go through it in a more detailed way, but Julia in her introduction has announced that we will have a LinkedIn group where we can talk about the subject. I think we can dig deeper on there, and you can also see on the chat, I shared a link from World Bank. So the program is InfoDev, and they have, you can have a lot of resources on how to set up your virtual incubation. I believe there are 2 full documents that you can really dig in deeper to have critical information on that, and really happy to talk about that as well in the LinkedIn group. And thank you also for your question. So just to get back to Julia's question, so just as final remark, very briefly, I would say, make sure that your program, your virtual incubation program, is inclusive, because the virtual aspects allow many other people to join your program whether they are in the same geographical region as you, whether they differ to other entrepreneurs. So make sure that you understand them. What we used to do in Concrete is to have personas of different of the entrepreneurs regarding the virtual incubation, so that we know how we deliver what type of content that they need in an incubation perspective, and also in what channel we can deliver the information, whether it is mobile application, web application, direct phone, SMS, and so on, just to make sure that it is inclusive. So this is what I want to share with you. Make sure that the virtual thing of your virtual incubation is inclusive for all the entrepreneurs that you are targeting.
Thanks, Babakar. I think that's an important point you're mentioning there, kind of making it inclusive, allowing everyone to access, because I think that's in the end the beauty of the internet. If you have connection, you can be out there.
Sorry, I have to talk about it in 10 seconds. So when you do virtual incubation, you collect it. So it depends on the tools that you use. You collect data on the entrepreneur. So make sure you are transparent on the use of the data. Make sure you talk about that with the entrepreneurs, because if you don't, the question may rise, and you better have an answer on that. So think about that as well.
Thanks. Good addition there. Peter, do you want to give your closing statement?
Yes. So my closing statement, especially if you are transitioning like we did from a physical meetings to a virtual, I think it is important to have a feedback loop in it at the beginning of the session, during the session, and also after it, and be agile enough to iterate based on the feedback that you're getting. So avoid a mentality of being cast in stone that this is how we want our program and this is, but be willing to get the feedback and be able to change and iterate. It might be small tweaks that you may need to do each time, but eventually you will get to the perfect fit.
Thank you for that, Peter. And I think this is not only applicable for virtual incubation, but we would also later on ask you for feedback so we can make these webinars better and better. Thanks, Noria, for posting in a group. Bassem, if you would like to take the last 60 seconds before moving to Afia.
Yes, thank you so much. Just quick comments about the lesson learned. Actually, yes, the big issue in the virtual incubator is the engagement, the participant, and the trainer. What the rule that should be played within both. I mean the participants and the trainers, and I think the most effective way or the method it will be learning by doing. How we move it from physical learning by doing in the class or training room to the virtual. I can give you one example could be helpful. If we ask about the business model, we can just ask the participants, hi guys, you can just look at the internet, find any company that you like, just tell in 5 minutes, tell us what the company are working, what the value proposition, and what the market, any available information on the company. So we in that way we will engage more the people, and also we can ask them to write down in a paper and just take a photo, send it to us through the chat and other things. And sometimes it's good to use two different platforms, such as Teams or Zoom, and another one to send through a WhatsApp group as well. That this change can also give more dynamic to the session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Babakar, also for Bassam, sorry, for going back to the question which was raised in the chat. Afi, I think you've already mentioned an important takeaway also to include gender balance in virtual incubation. Is there something else you would like to mention?
Yeah, I think Peter already mentioned having continuous surveys to really properly adjust your program to suit the needs of the participants, and then measuring that to make sure you are achieving the impact you desire to achieve and the impact you've promised your partners that you are going to achieve. My final takeaway would be creating a community around these entrepreneurs, engaging mentors, engaging other ecosystem players, and supporting entrepreneurs after they complete your program. So if you have a community for your entrepreneurs, don't let it end when they complete. Keep following up with them and keep checking on their progress so that we can ensure they go, their businesses succeed. Thank you.
Thank you for this last statement. I think we've already mentioned the form, the evaluation form, also the LinkedIn community where you can become part of our network and thereby ask further questions, get support from peers, learn from best practices, see what other hubs are doing. And now I'll leave it over to Nuria to close the session.
Yeah, so just one final remark. Well, first of all, really important, please send us your feedback. We know that you all want to leave the meeting to other things, but please do send it to us. And then just so you know that we will continue conducting this sort of webinars. So the next one will be on the 25th of February, and you can already register. It will be focused on strategy and results measurement for hubs. So we will have Simunza Moyangana, who's currently the co-founder of Bongo Hive in Lusaka in Zambia. And I'll be also in that session, and we will be focusing on how to design a strategy for hubs and how to measure and show the results of the hub. That is also a topic that some of you have mentioned already. So please do join us. Julia, thank you for putting the registration link here. So yes, and if you have any question, please feel free to reach to us. We're also on the LinkedIn group, so you can always post any questions or any interesting material for the rest of the hubs. And we hope to see you then on the 25th. And we will continue communicating all the upcoming webinars, anything else done by ITC or anything, any interesting initiative on the LinkedIn group. So join us there and keep in touch. And thank you all for coming today. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for Nuria for the closing remarks. Also, big thank you for our 4 speakers here today to answer all of the questions the participants had. It was really insightful. Enjoyed a lot to have you here. Maybe if we manage, it would be great if everyone could turn on their video so we can take a last photo. Maybe only turn on the video, turn off the mic. That would be ideal. I see some faces popping up. So cool to finally see you. Wonderful. I think we're getting more and more. So yeah, perfect.
3 pages, by the way.
Nice. Screen is filling up. Wonderful. I think we can take the final photo. And then I would wish you a good afternoon, a great continuation of your day. And yeah, if you have questions, feel free to post in a LinkedIn group, and we're happy to connect in the next webinar again. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. It was a beautiful webinar. Thank you. This is File. Bye.